It's all in the name of science. Weird science.
Weird science.
In John Hughes' 1985 teen sci-fi comedy Weird Science, our protagonists Wyatt and Gary seek social acceptance. By using a supercomputer, the boys bring their ultimate sexual fantasy to life. Social expectations led them to believe they need a beautiful woman in order to be popular, but popularity is more than they bargained for. Teen culture in the 1980s devalued women to mere objects, signaling power, social status, and masculinity. In order to achieve the ideal life, the protagonists use technology to create the perfect woman. I will use feminist film theory to examine this film. When this film was made, American culture was vastly different than it is today. The conservative 1980s preceded the women's liberation movement of the 70s, and these traditional values permeated the mass media, specifically in films. The United States was also in the midst of a Cold War. This is hilariously evident when Wyatt and Gary accidentally create a nuclear missile inside their house. Since home computers were not widely used in 1985, Wyatt's access to this kind of technology was like magic, and the limits of computers were still being developed and discovered, so using technology to create a Frankenstein-style human being was outlandish, but not impossible. The potential capabilities of technology has fueled science fiction films for decades, and Weird Science was no different.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
John Hughes was a prominent director of popular teen films, including The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. His films reached a wide audience and were very influential to teens at the time. Hughes' representation of teen life was very focused on traditional heteronormative gender roles, such as getting the girl and becoming a man. In Weird Science, Hughes makes clear that ownership of women is necessary for popularity.
That's not a bad idea.
What?
15 minutes, the storm should be at its height.
Making a girl.
Then we'll be ready. What's that?
Actually making a girl.
Someone here.
Just like Frankenstein. Except cuter.
In a few scenes, Wyatt and Gary are bullied because they are nerds. The bullies emasculate them and publicly humiliate them. The boys are unfavorable in their peers' eyes. That is, until Lisa is created. The boys create Lisa as the perfect woman, far from any realistic beauty standard. They use porn magazine cutouts and their supercomputer to construct an impossibly beautiful woman, hoping she will fulfill their sexual desires. This parallels Claire Johnson's 1973 statement about women in films, which claims, "Female images do not reflect any woman's reality, but are misconstructed by patriarchal ideology and manipulated for the satisfaction of male desires." Weird Science does this literally in an attempt to create the perfect relatable teen comedy. But at whose expense?
Should we give her a brain?
Yeah, we can play chess with her.
Chess? Just give her a brain, okay?
Once the boys create Lisa, they use their ownership of her to gain social status and power.
Tell me something. What's a beautiful broad like you doing with a malaka like this, huh?
It's purely sexual.
The boys show her off at the club and later take her to the mall. Because of Lisa's immense beauty, everyone is suddenly interested in the boys. The woman they created is a spectacle, a sight to behold. She does not function as an autonomous being, but rather a piece of arm candy to rope others in. If Lisa had any agency or sovereignty at all, the fantasy of the film would be ruined.
And you're completely loyal to them.
I do whatever they say.
She would no longer just be a sex object helping the boys get laid. She would bring all the inconveniences associated with a real woman. The woman Gary and Wyatt created is selfless, beautiful, and above all subservient, showcasing the unrealistic qualities men expect of women. Creating the perfect woman using technology perpetuates harmful gender stereotypes which demean girls and women. It sends the message to women that only their bodies have value, and that their mind and soul are unimportant. It sends the message to men that they are entitled to female bodies and that they can own women.
See, we like your style, so we want to make a deal with you. You let us have a crack at Lisa, and then we'll let you have Deb and Hilly.
It sends the message that popularity can only be achieved by using one's sexuality to manipulate their way to the top. Wyatt and Gary were able to make their vision of the perfect woman come to life, but neglected to realize that women are not just sex objects. They're people too.
Okay. Drop and give me 20.